Yes, 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 it is the Castworthy Podcast, and we are back. I am Big Steve, aka Last of a Dying Breed on X, joined by VP, the VP of Research, and just the two of us today. Just the two of us. EJ is at what he calls a recital, another word for happy hour. Um, or what do they call that? Brunch, Sunday brunch. It's been a long time, man. I got a 5-year-old. I haven't been to brunch in 5 years. Um, what's good with you, man?
Not much, man. Just chilling, you know.
Besides the fact that I can't hear you. All right. Well, I do know that your son was bowling this week, and shout out to him while you work on your audio for making it to
Test.
the regional finals, if I'm not mistaken. You can correct me if I'm wrong when we get there.
District
Um, so shout out to TJ. Wish he would have won it this year. You know, it'd been nice to go out on top his senior year, but the team fell a little bit short and didn't quite make it. So, but nonetheless, shout out to TJ either way. For now, it's just me until VP gets his audio set up. So, I guess since it's just me for right now, oh, there he is.
Yeah, it was regional finals.
Still no audio. All right. Jeez. This is what you get paid the big bucks for. Piano in the background, fireplace, and someone get IT on the phone. Tech support, help this guy out. Go to settings.
Can you hear me now?
All right. Well, as he works on that, I will say some things need to change. What it is, I don't know. But every day we're turning on the news and more it's just getting crazy. Over there in the Middle East, you got things going on between Palestine and Israel, and it seems to be getting worse. And hoping VP will pop in here with his audio in a second to clarify exactly where we are because he follows the news more than I do. But latest news that I saw, and he'll fact check me, is that Israel moved into Palestine, or into Gaza, into the Gaza, what is that, the Strip, and things are starting to get pretty nasty. Meaning, that could mean that Iran wants some business with us. So yeah, we're moving towards some weird times, man. But hopefully, we're seeing videos every day of innocent people, children, women, men losing their lives due to whatever is going on over there. And we can only hope that in some way it is all sorted out before it just gets too bad. I mean, it's so bad that people have kind of stopped talking about Ukraine, except for when Joe Biden sends money over there. Then everyone is on par with talking about Ukraine when Joe sends money. Otherwise, it's Israel this, Israel that. But I guess Israel's kind of starting to take the cake. People are, giving Joe a hard time. I've been watching a lot on the news about, individuals that don't support him, even Democrats don't support the support of what they call genocide, which is a tough word. Genocide is a tough word. I don't think people really understand it. They hear it. It's a buzzword, and they move towards it. So, but I don't think it qualifies as genocide, but it is excessive. It is definitely excessive. We talk about women, children, bombings daily. It's just it's pretty nasty, man. And put you in a somber space with the holidays coming. And you just hope that someone somewhere can sort this shit out or find a way to get it off our news feeds. I don't need it on my timeline. I don't need it on the news every time I open up my phone. Like enough is enough. I'm done with it. How says you, VP?
Yeah, man, it's definitely a lot, man.
You don't say anything because you have no
What's
audio
going
still.
what is going on with my mic?
Well, this is just phenomenal. Or
Um,
maybe I don't have audio. Maybe the world can hear you and I just can't. Let me
I
confirm
want
my audio. I think that's the bigger issue.
I can hear
Let's
you.
confirm this.
I hear you.
IT? Tech.
I can hear you.
Oh, yeah, there we go. We're back. We bike. 6 minutes. 6 minutes in, and Dougie Fresh, we're on. I can hear you.
Oh, I was able to
All
hear
that
you the whole time.
all that shit I was talking, and it wasn't you. It was my AirPods. Come on, Apple. You playing. You playing, bruh.
Oh
Apple
my
playing with
god, yeah.
me. Playing with my emotions. So I don't know how much of that you heard. I know you were here for most of it, but keep me honest, man. Where do you feel or how do you feel about this nonsense that we're seeing every day?
I mean,
And you don't have to
it's
pick a side or anything, but it's just
right. The thing about it is like, you can kind of, this is one of those situations where you definitely can see both sides, right? Because Israel had a terrorist attack. People came into
mhm,
their country. They executed people, and rockets being fired into the country, et cetera, et cetera. So you have to expect a response, but the level of response does seem excessive. And I think that that's the problem that a lot of people have with this. Is just that, like, they're bombing the hell out of out of Gaza, and they're reportedly going to be cutting off like routes into Gaza and things like that, meaning that food and water can't get in. It's my understanding that Israel actually controls the like the power that goes into Gaza, so they could like literally shut down the power if they want, which is going to cause its own problems as far as like hospitals being able to operate, people who need power for at home medical devices and things like that. I could just imagine, even the simple fact of if you're diabetic and you got to keep insulin cool in the fridge or whatever, you know what I mean?
yeah,
So those kind of things like that. It's like
or Ozempic.
you what's that?
I said or Ozempic.
Yeah. So those kind of things like that are horrible. And again, it does seem very excessive. Um I definitely think they should have responded, but I don't know if this level of response was necessarily warranted. You hear a lot of times US presidents will say when something happens that we're going to respond in proportion to what happened to us.
Right.
And so, you know, terrorist attack turns into, like I think the latest reports I read on CNN said it's just like under 8,000 people that have been killed in Gaza from airstrikes and things like that. And so, you know, I don't know how many people were I think they said it was something like, was it 1,200? I don't know if the initial thing called 1,200 or it was like 1,200 in Israel when like from the time it started to like once it was done like with the attack or whatever. I don't know what the death toll was when everything originally popped off, but you know even if it
1,400.
was
It says more than
okay,
1,400 people.
yeah, so 1,400 people in Israel killed, and then to kill 8,000 people, it's just like it doesn't have to be a tit for tat kind of thing. So I hope they can get this shit under control over there. Just because seeing this level of carnage is just, it's sad, man.
Yeah, it's out of control. So yeah, it says more than 1,400, including 310, at least 310 soldiers, 229 hostages taken, and they've only gotten four back.
Hmm.
Um, Listen, I get it, man. Give it a little pow pow. Give it a little pow pow. I feel like they've done it already. I think they kind of get what it is right now, and realistically, I don't know that they're killing members of uh
Hamas.
Hamas, right? Like when you're seeing these videos and stuff, like you feel like you're doing something, but if you're not getting members of Hamas, then you're not doing anything. These people that actually, attacked you or struck you, you know, they clearly have no care for Palestinians, because they know that very simply you could flatland and level that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's not their concern. The people that you're trying to get back to, um, you know, I don't know, man. It's sad, and I don't know if you heard the piece that when I was looking at the news yesterday, they were saying that they moved into that area, which could lead to Iran wanting some smoke. I don't
Yeah.
know how you feel about that, but we stay with some shit with Iran.
Yeah. It's you know, it's gonna be tough, man. Because if the thing is that even though like the Iranians have a real army, don't get me wrong, but the Israelis do too, and um but I feel like if Iran gets involved, it's gonna make us get involved, which is just it's
Right.
already terrible. It's gonna
It
just
gets
make it
messy.
more terrible. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I hope that doesn't happen. And last week, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, when I was saying like this thing is like very, it's very nuanced, right? There's all this history and all these different facets of this whole conflict or whatever, the whole struggle. And one thing that I saw this week, somebody was talking about the fact of part of the reason that this stuff happens is that in Israel, they have an extremely right wing government with Benjamin Netanyahu as their prime minister. And he doesn't want to negotiate with the Palestinians over a two-state solution, which is what most people think the answer is that you got to break up the region into two states, where Israel has their own state and the Palestinians have their own country or whatever. And the right wing part of Israel doesn't want that. And so this person that I was watching essentially said that what what Netanyahu and the folks in his government leadership team do is essentially not negotiate in good faith or at all with the Palestinians, which then has like allowed Hamas to gain more control in the area, because Hamas is a legitimate terrorist organization. And then they're
Right.
going to do the stuff that they do, which then allows Israel to respond in course, because they're saying, hey, these people are doing this, these terrorists, da, 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 so we got to respond. You know what I mean? Whereas if they were being serious about negotiating with the, I think they're called the PLO or something like that, like whoever the like the non-Hamas like Palestinians are or whatever, instead of like negotiating with them in good faith and trying to come up with some kind of two-state solution to essentially end this thing, they don't, So I don't know, man. It's the shit is just sad. I hope that it can get resolved and resolved quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. I did see. Well, you gotta hope that this is Joe's wheelhouse, right? Foreign affairs. I saw a report earlier that he was traveling to Iran. I don't know how legit that is or not, but there was a
Not
report
at
that
all.
he's no. Okay. Well,
Absolutely not.
uh, hopefully
No
he's
U.S.
at
president
least,
has been to Iran since like I don't think ever, or
or maybe
maybe
it was
if
Israel.
it's happened,
Maybe it was
it might have been
Israel. Maybe it
Israel.
was Israel. It might
I
have
mean,
been
he went
Israel.
to Israel like a week ago, so I don't know. I didn't know he was going back.
Okay. Well, nonetheless, I'm just hoping, right, that that he can get over there if he's going over there, or at least get on the phone and try to sort some of this stuff out, right? Like that's, if nothing else, that I feel like is where the United States should get involved. I don't know that we should immediately start getting involved in, you know, being parts of everything that goes on, from a war standpoint, or soldiers or anything like that. I know we're not yet, but if you can mediate, you could be the big brother and be like, listen, man, relax. Like, relax, and we need everybody to just calm down, just calm down because I'll whoop everybody ass up in here. Like that's what Joe need to do. He need to walk up in there like the dude that be like, yo, I'll whip everybody ass up in here if it don't get we don't get this together. Somehow because it just has to stop, man. And obviously, like we said last week, best wishes to those over there. If you're a praying person and you're a God fearing person, and you have faith, we'll say prayers to them. But best wishes from us to them. And it's so crazy that we just had a mass shooting, actually two, one that you just posted, which was crazy. But the largest talked about one was up in Maine this week, where 15 people were reportedly lost their lives and others injured, where someone walked into a bowling alley, and it's scary because the guy ended up getting away. Right, they
Mhm.
had the video of him. He's that close to Maine, right? How quickly did he get away? Is it very possible that before they found the images and the video of him, could he have gotten across the border into Canada? Could he have come, south? Could he have gotten out of the immediate area? Luckily, right, we're able to now look 2020 hindsight, days later. They found him with a self-inflicted gun wound. And if it was self-inflicted or not doesn't matter. He killed 15 people, so however he went. um
Right.
but again, best wishes to those families up there, those all involved in Maine. um and I'll let you get in here. And then we had Florida that just happened last night in Tampa, Ybor City. If you don't know what Ybor City is in Tampa, it is a club strip, Halloween festivities, and there was a mass shooting last night. Still very early, and for the information, I guess that's been released. I just saw the video that you posted, and it looked very graphic. Um, where were the fucking good guys on this one?
Yeah, it's the shit is crazy. And like for me, when I saw that, the first thing I thought about was my brother. My brother lives in Tampa.
Hmm.
And so I sent him the post and he responded back to me and said, "Man, you know what's crazy?" He was like, him and his wife were gonna go out last night. They were just gonna go like people watch, look at people in their Halloween costumes and stuff like that. And his
Hmm.
wife fell asleep, so they didn't go out or whatever. And I don't know if that's where they were going, or maybe they would have ended up there somehow. You know what I mean? But it's crazy, man. So um
Well,
so I'm
thank
glad
goodness
my
Cliff
brother's
didn't go.
good, but right,
Right.
but it's just tragic, man. Every day in this country there's a mass shooting. It's just that they don't get reported like that. Only the ones that are like really big get reported. This one that happened in Tampa is likely not gonna make news, because it happened, on a Saturday night. You have football and everything happening in Israel and things like that. So it's possible that this one doesn't make news like that. And the one in Maine, I mean, you had a lot of people who were killed, which is why it made the news that it did. It stayed in the news because the guy was on the hunt, or on the run for, I
Hmm.
think, what was it, 2 days or something like that. But the one in Maine really got to me because, obviously, you're talking about, people who were killed, did nothing but just go out to go bowling. I think it was the shooting, from my understanding, took place at two different spots. It was at a bowling alley, and I think at a bar, like on the other side of town or something like that, if I remember correctly.
Mm.
The one in Maine. I think he
Yep.
started at the bowling alley and he jumped in a car and then drove like across town and like went to a bar or something like that, and did the same thing. But regardless, these are people who just went out, I'm gonna go bowl, have some fun with the family, or whatever the case, or you're trying to relax, go have a drink, watch the game, whatever the situation is for why you're at the bar, and this thing happens, right? And for me, my kid goes bowling. So I'm thinking, like, damn, this is just another list of places that aren't safe in America, basically, churches, bowling alleys, malls, movie theaters, um, pretty much everywhere now. Um, but not only that, but also the fact that there are all the things that they tell us if we just do these things. And when I say they, I mean like people who are gun advocates, right? If we put these things in place, we can stop these things from happening. Things like red flag laws, and if you see something, say something, and stuff like that. This guy was
Mhm.
in the military. He was I think it was like an army reservist or a national guardsman or something like that. His chain of command reported that he was having some kind of mental health issues. His family reported that he was having some kind of mental health issues and things like that. And yet this guy was still able to go and get the weaponry that he got and go and kill 15 people, you know. And it brings me back to where I always am in saying that, we have to do something about the guns. Like, these tinkering around the edges things is not gonna work, you know. And I always use that example of saying, like, if you're trying to lose weight and you keep eating big ass plates of macaroni and cheese and fried chicken, and all you do is add the diet soda, it's not gonna work. You know what I mean? You have to do something about the main thing, you know. And until we do that, we're gonna keep seeing this carnage in this country.
Yeah. Yeah, when you talk about, I mean, it is, when it does hit close to home, of course, because you guys travel for bowling, right? You guys, I mean, your son is in a bowling alley probably more than he's home,
Right.
when he's awake at least. Um, and so, yeah, and not only that, but in general, right? It's just, these are just public places where people are going to do whatever they want to do, right? They want to go have fun. They want to have a bowling night. Hey, Tuesday nights are my bowling night, or whatever it looks like, right? And now I have to worry about, am I safe in a bowling alley? You go to a bar, there's always something going on at a bar, but now you got to worry about, when I go to bars, am I safe? And I think you've always had that concern. But now,
Hmm.
you got club strips. You got a club strip. People are going out. Oh, it's hot. It's a Halloween weekend. I'm just going out to have fun. Like you said, your brother made me go look at costumes. I had the same fucking idea, which is funny. Not last night, but the night before, Friday night. It was like midnight, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll just go take a spin through downtown. Take a look at them costumes. And just see what they see what they got going on out there. And I just thought better of it. I'm like, you know what? Nah. I started to think about, it wasn't even the shooting type shit. I was thinking like, damn, there might be a lot of traffic. It's gonna be a lot of people drinking. You know what I mean? And when you get to a certain age, the age that we're at now, you start to think like that. Back in when we were
Hmm.
younger, it was like, fuck it, let's go see what's out there. But now I was thinking, all right, I wasn't even thinking down there something could happen. I'm thinking in route to or from, is someone potentially gonna be drunk or some shit like that. And it's not worth the risk just to take a spin. So,
Right.
um, but yeah, we're living in times where you you don't know what's gonna happen or what can happen. Yesterday, we went to a little festival, real quick, a little trick or treating festival in downtown Avalon, which is a suburb over here in Orlando, East Orlando, and there was a boatload of people out there, and they had streets blocked off, and if somebody was to come in there with ill will, it could have been bad. Really, really bad. Probably worse than an Ybor City or something like that, because you got
Hmm.
tons of children. You got bouncy houses. You got people walking up and down the street. You got to park pretty far off, so you can't get to your vehicle quickly. You know, um, but the question, and I said it when I led into it, and I saw it on Twitter, which makes me ask it, is, or X. I don't know what Twitter is. Is Florida's a state where you can carry, it's a gun enthusiast state. And everyone says, you know, when something like this happens, it's good to have, the ability to carry like that, because, the good guys are going to take care of it. We're the good guys on this one.
Right. And I've anytime that this topic comes up, when we've talked about this on the podcast, I've said this multiple times, that when groups who look into this kind of thing, when they look at these like good guy with a gun scenarios, for the most part it doesn't work, because there's chaos, right? And so the best, they've done these kind of good guy with a gun scenarios like in non like lethal environments, where it's just like training and it's always like fucked up, right? But the one case where there was a real life scenario where this good guy with a gun thing was theory was put to the test, was in Arizona, when I think it was in 2010, when Congresswoman Gabby Giffords got shot. She was doing like some kind of event at a grocery store back in Arizona, meeting with constituents and things like that. Gunman showed up and shot up the place, including her. And I mean, he was targeting her. It wasn't like he was just a shooting, like a random shooting. But shot her and other folks or whatever. Arizona is an open carry state, and there were people there who were armed, and the good guys came with a gun. And when they came in, they're getting ready to start blasting at the folks who are holding the gun or whatever. And because they don't realize that the people have already got the gunmen subdued, and they almost shot these people, who were the good guys themselves, themselves, you know what I mean? And so these kind of things in my mind just don't work. And we can keep tinkering around the edges, but regardless of how safe we make schools or movie theaters or any public place, right, where people can go inside of, there's all these spaces, that are considered essentially soft targets that you can't protect, and even if you do try to protect them, what happens is that, like you mentioned, like my kid going to the bowling alley and things like that. If those uh uh um folks who own the bowling alley say you can't bring guns in here, even though Florida is a whatever we're doing with our gun laws now, open carry, no permit, concealed carry, whatever, you can't bring guns in here. Somebody is gonna go there with a gun to get kicked. They're gonna go there with the intention of being kicked out, so they can then file a lawsuit. So that way, the courts will come in and say, "Yeah, you can't stop this person from not bringing their gun in," you know. And it seems like every time we have one of these shootings, our politicians say we need to make gun laws even more relaxed, you know. And it's not like things are getting better. I saw um I saw this thing with John Stewart, and he was making a joke, but he was being serious at the same time. He was talking to a congressperson, or not a congressperson, but a state representative in Arkansas, or it might have been Oklahoma, one of those, like, middle of the country states. And the guy essentially was saying, like, the more guns we have, the safer we'll be. And John Stewart was making the point of, okay, we have about 330 million people who live in the country, and we have roughly about 400 million guns. So now that the guns outnumber the people, like, when does the safety start? Like, what number of guns do we have to get to for the safety to start? And the guy was like, no, what I'm saying is da da da. And he was like, no, I understand what you're saying, but like more guns, more safety. So, like, what's the number? Like, the percentage, the hard number, like where is it at? Like, when am I gonna get the safety? And they go back and forth like this for like 30, 45 seconds or whatever. And like I said, he's saying it in a joking way, but he's being extremely serious at the same time, because they keep telling us if we just have more guns, we'll get more safe. And that hasn't been my experience. Yeah. So I just
My
think,
bad.
go ahead.
I muted myself because my phone popped up. But nonetheless, the reality, like you said, is when you go into these places, there could be rules about, hey, you can't carry, right? When you go to work, you got to worry about that. You got to worry about someone that got let go, somebody who got in trouble, got whatever, right? Not being you know in line with those rules, and doing whatever it is that they decide to do. And now you, the good guy, following the rules, you don't have your gun or whatever to protect yourself like they're saying you can do, right? um when you go to bars, even if you have a concealed carry, you can't bring it there because they serve alcohol. So someone that does target a bar, the good guy can't be there. So um yeah, I just I don't know that. I went to outlets yesterday, buy some clothes for picture day and shit. And I keep it on me, right? And I have to. Living here, you have to. You just never know what's gonna happen. So it's the outlets, and then it's this family thing. And then the family thing, I'm like, you know what? There's kids all over the place. I'm not gonna carry, right? But I'm the good guy, right? And I'm sure there's other good guys like me. I'm going into this family atmosphere where people are trick or treating, if somebody was to set it off, it's the good guys like me that aren't there or would. And realistically, let's make this 100% clear. I you know I keep it, but in that situation, I'm not the good guy jumping out there unless it's gonna mean that it's saving, you know, me and mine.
Right.
Like that's the reality of it. We've seen it. We've seen school shootings where people who are paid to do this shit here in Florida didn't jump in. What makes you think that the average Joe is going to be the guy that decides today I'm going to be fucking Spider-Man or Superman or Batman and I'm going to go save the world? That's not the way that shit works, man. It's not the reality of it. I am a gun enthusiast. I have plenty of them. Not so much to the point where people say that, but where people say that we absolutely should have them. If it came down to, hey, this is the route that people are going, you know, who knows? I can't tell you that I'd follow it or not, just because I feel like crime is crime and it's gonna happen one way or another. But yeah, there's absolutely there's a problem. We know there's a problem. And how do you fix it? I don't know. I mean, I've said it multiple times. For you, it's rip the band-aid off. For me, it's let's slowly take it off so we don't pull the hair with it. But it just seems like nothing is happening, as we mentioned, or as we welcome um, EJ Stu into the conversation here. I'm not sure if you can hear us, sir.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep,
What's going on,
loud and
fellas?
proud, baby.
Loud and proud. Man, so talking about gun control and the shootings and everything.
Yeah, we were talking about Maine. Just to catch you up, we talked about Maine. There was a shooting last night here in Tampa, Florida. And really we just led off with everything that was happening in the world in general with, Hamas, Israel over in that area and just where we are today. It's a somber space as a nation and as just, I mean, in the world. I won't even say as a nation, in the world. If you
Yeah,
look at the news, if you're not paying attention, you don't have something to keep your mind off of the negativity out there. You could send somebody into a downward spiral, man.
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty nasty what's going on around the world, man. And humanity as a whole. I mean, just outside of the guns and everything that's going on. Like I was speaking to somebody last night, and they kind of were like, "Yo, I didn't real." They said to me, "This is what they said to me." They said they didn't realize how defensive and how um, insensitive some Jewish people can be to the situation over there. Like they were saying, like they were just talking about how on the internet they were looking at different things Jewish people were saying in defense of what Israel's doing, and it's not all of them, but some of them, and it's just like the cases they were making to kind of justify what's going on. Like, oh, what if George Floyd, something happened to George Floyd, and like it was like all these different comparisons that just don't make sense, and it's just crazy, man. As a people, as a culture around the world, I don't know. I gotta believe that at some point we've been inhuman and selfish, but it's just crazy that you can't see that yes, there's one wrong thing going on, but there's an injustice also going on, and lives are being lost, and it's not always about what we want and what we feel is right for us. It's just sometimes about doing the right thing.
Yeah. No, I agree, man. And you know, I was watching, I'm looking at timelines and I see Michael Rappaport and I see other people that are, to your point, saying the same thing, like, oh, you guys were angry. Or imagine if someone came into he said this is his post. Imagine someone came into your country and committed a act of terror. And I get it. Listen, I get it. But like we said earlier, lead with pow pow. Hey, listen, don't let it happen again. And again, you got the wrong people that are taking it, that are taking the heat for it. These are like the strays that happen in Chicago, right? You got gang wars and the kids are getting killed in Chicago. It's the same shit that's happening over there. You got this war against Hamas and Israel, and it's the innocents that are dying. That's the biggest problem here. Shit has to stop. It has to slow down somehow. I don't know what the fix is. I don't get paid that much to look at that. I wish I did. I wish I did. But listen, if they're looking for Hamas, send some Puerto Rican baby mamas in there, some Puerto Rican wives. They will find them. They ain't gonna find them. They probably gonna find the text messages. They're gonna find the pictures. They're gonna know exactly where to find them. I'll tell you that right now.
Hey, yo. Wow. Yeah, it's kind of crazy, man. And it's just like, I tried to follow Rappaport. I kind of liked him and his takes for a little bit, especially when he bashed Donald Trump. But the stuff he's been saying, like he was posting things about 9/11 and just all types of stuff. It's just like, brother, how do you now turn this into a complete religious attack against other religions? And it's just nasty, man. And I mean, it's that right there was just like he's on taking this road where if you're not in support of my religion, then screw everything else. And it's like this is exactly why we're here. You know what I mean? Like this is exactly why we're here.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, and I get that there's a religious aspect to it or whatever, but at the end of the day, like this country was attacked. They're responding, but the response just seems out of proportion with the attack that happened. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's just and even not just like folks like Michael Rappaport this week on CNN on one of their shows, they had some guy on who's like a military analyst or something like that for them. And he was saying, yeah, it looks like what Israel's probably gonna have to do is go in and like, start choking off the water supply and then choking off this and choking off that, and to make basically essentially saying like make it so painful for the people in Gaza that they want to get rid of Hamas or whatever. But like what this dude was essentially describing was a war crime. You know what I'm saying? And so and this was on CNN. It wasn't like it was on like some YouTube channel or something where somebody's going ham, on the internet or whatever. This was on CNN. CNN is the most watched news source internationally, over any other news source. And this guy's literally just like and not like in a spit of rage, talking. Like this dude is just talking just as casual as we are. Just saying like, yeah, they have to do these war crimes, man. Like that's how you're gonna resolve this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the most nasty part about it. That our nation, we condemn all of this other stuff, but it's just like we allow that to even be a thought, you know what I mean, and not be addressed. I mean, not that we can do a whole lot technically speaking, but to your point, it's deliberate war crimes. And it's like, do you even do research on who Hamas is? Like, do you think if they could do something about these people, they wouldn't have by now? You know what I mean? Like most of their population believes, a lot of their population believes in their mission. Some don't. I mean, they're not the national, military group there. It's like I had to explain to somebody. It's like if a bunch of January 6 people got together and made their own militia, right? VP, am I wrong?
I don't think it's the same. Like,
It's
I mean,
kind of the
Hamas.
same.
I mean,
It's like,
I don't know
so it's like so my understanding is right. It's basically like a political party that a part of the country believes in, like similar to Republicans and Democrats. It's like if the
no,
Republicans got their own militia.
no. Hamas is from my understanding is a terrorist organization that like started back in the 80s or something like that. I don't think it's just like a political movement.
Look it up. It was a political group. I mean, they've been named terrorists, but they're literally a political group where like they have millions of people that follow their beliefs in that nation. But again, to my point, it's not as though this is the national, army. Like this isn't like, their country is condoning these people and enlisting people and they're on the payroll. Like, nah, you know what I mean?
Uh-oh. EJ froze. Oh, there he goes. Um, yeah, I listen, man. I don't know who Hamas is. I don't. I bet you 90% of the people that comment on this shit don't know who Hamas is. You know,
Yeah.
these are just these organizations, these groups. I mean, it's the same people that walk around and talk about, Antifa, and the same people that talk about all these different groups that nobody really knows the truth about, right? And of course, I don't want to I don't want to compare them, apples to apples, because we know Antifa is, it could be, some people think it's made up, right? And we know Hamas is a real thing. And I also don't want to make it sound like we're being insensitive to Israel or to Jewish people. Um, but we've gone on record, EJ, myself, hundreds of times, and you know, just because you disagree or don't agree with a Jewish individual, or something that Israel's doing, doesn't make you anti-Semitic. And I think that's the world we live in today, that people make you feel that way. You can't think and say, "Hey, look, Israel, you're excessive. You're being excessive." You know what I mean? And you can have that opinion. Someone might feel the other way. You have a Rappaport, you have guys like that feel that way, and that's fine. You might feel like it's just, but other people feel like it's too much and it's excessive. That doesn't mean that we don't like Jews. That doesn't mean we don't, think Israel deserves grace just the same. Um, so I just don't want the message to be misconstrued.
Yeah. And EJ, I just read something real quick. I'd read it, so it's not like this is an actual a history or whatever. But it essentially says that Hamas started off as the Muslim Brotherhood, which is actually still in a group now or whatever. And you essentially had people within the Muslim Brotherhood who felt that protesting wasn't enough. They needed to start doing violence as well, and like peaceful protest wasn't enough. And those people became an offshoot of the Muslim Brotherhood and became Hamas or whatever. So, yeah. So I wouldn't equate it.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, there's a political aspect to it, right? There was political means and goals to it. So I mean, depending on the source, they may not frame it that way, but there was a political aspect to it. And I say that to say about the Republican, and I mean, I'm taking it from your bag, but a lot of these people are zealot, right? And we would have never thought January 6th happened, but it did. And I mean, the severity of what happened is very similar to a group of people that belong to a political party that have their feelings about what should be happening, and they don't like what's going on. So they decided to arm themselves, attack the Capitol, hurt people, commit all types of crimes against the nation. I mean, to me, it's not that much different. Now, Hamas has a lot of resources. They have years of being organized, et cetera, et cetera. But to me, the ideal is not that much different. What I'm saying
No,
is for some, no, what I'm saying is for someone to say, we should bomb this country and do this and do that, it's kind of like someone getting mad at us for the January 6th people and saying we all should just catch a stray. You know what I mean? It's just like these people are not making sense when you're talking about punishing an entire nation versus this actual group, is my thing.
no, I get what you're saying. I was just trying to make the distinction. I mean, obviously, we know terrorism is the essential definition of terrorism is essentially, using violence, intimidation, whatever, for some kind of, political, or it may be religious, whatever, goal. So this group is using violence to get a political outcome, right? So in that case, they are essentially doing terrorism, right? They are terrorists or whatever. But the same way I would say that the January 6th people are terrorists, right? But I wouldn't necessarily equate the entire Republican Party as being terrorists. You have this group that's an offshoot of the Republican Party, not necessarily their own group, don't get me wrong. But like I don't think the Republican Party at large is, essentially terrorists, but that group of them, the January 6th folks and their supporters, I would put in that bag.
I can see that. I can see
That,
that.
That's essentially what I was trying to say. It's it's essentially what I'm trying to say. And again, it's kind of like if it's kind of like if black people in America said, you know what, because of all of the things the Ku Klux Klan did to me, everybody can get it now. It's kind of the same.
Yeah, I mean, you can't just be you can't just be beating up on little brother, man, and then think you're gonna bring the goods in and stuff through my board. Like, there's so much more. There's so much to it. Like, that goes back. It's a lot, but nonetheless, best wishes to everyone involved. Obviously, the same goes for those in Maine. I said 15 earlier. It's actually 18 that were killed in Maine, and then there were 18 injured and 2 dead last night in Tampa. So yeah, yeah, it's getting spooky out there. Um, Halloween's around the corner, so be safe out there. Whoever wherever you go, your family, your friends, be safe. Like, it ain't like it used to be. We're living in some interesting times right now. A lot of hate in the world.
Right, right.
A lot of hate.
And even with that being said, I'm not sure how long we're gonna have EJ for since he's mobile right now. But let me try to transition us to the main topic of today. And I'm glad EJ was able to join on mobile because I definitely wanted his thoughts on this. But we had a young lady who went viral this week posting about places that you can't go on a first date. And one of the spots or not just one of the spots, but the list that she brought up said that, you can't go to a first date in these places. And they were numbered from 1 to about 30. And it was, let me just go to the top 10. And then, but it was Cheesecake Factory, Applebee's, Chili's, Chipotle, Olive Garden, the movies, your house, any fast food chain, Buffalo Wild Wings, Wingstop, and then I'll go two more actually. Let me go to 13. Red Lobster, a buffet, IHOPs, Denny's, and so
Is this the dating scene that you're living in, EJ?
Yeah, that's why I tried to tell you guys, man, it's nasty out here, and y'all should be thankful that y'all are in y'all marriages that y'all been in as long as y'all been in, because I mean these people, I'm gonna say these people, they're delusional out here. Like, imagine having a list of places where you can't be taken, and nobody's rushing to take your ass anywhere right now. You ain't
That's a
even
good
going
point.
on dates. You ain't even getting no dates, but you got a list of. So you a beggar, but you're choosing. It's insane.
This this is how dumb some of these bitches are. That champion that, right? The ones that champion that foolery. Um, you would rather, or maybe they just can't see it. If I invite you over and I cook for you, my motive is different than me taking you to a place in public.
Yes,
You come to my house, there's some expectations, right?
yes, yes.
After if I cook for you, it might even be less expensive. It might be less expensive for me, and we already closer to the spot. Like, you know what I mean? Real quick, let's get it done. Cheesecake Factory, um, Red Lobster for first date, right? You're talking about first date, and I don't know what we're talking about, right? Somebody needs to tell these people stop looking at Instagram. If you carry a fake bag, you can't tell me where to take you on on a first date, right?
yo, talk to him.
Like, if the stitching if the stitching inside your Coach bag is coming apart, you can't tell me where to take you, right? Like, if I look at your red bottoms and they burgundy bottoms, you can't tell me where to take you on a first date. If your
Listen,
lace front is coming apart, If you got a nail missing, if 9 of your nails is done and you need a fill on one of them, you can't tell me where to take you on your first date. You need to just come in, sit down, eat, hope that I'm willing to pay and I don't want to make you go Dutch, and then move on. Like, this is the life we live.
Yeah, I feel like we need a one of them organ play. You know how when you're at church and the pastor start getting his bag and the organ player start going. That's what we needed just now.
Yo, I'm telling you, man, it's crazy out here, man. I just saw this post of this young lady who she was like, yeah, I went to a singles dating event and it's majority women here. There are no men. And it's like, yeah, the comments were like, yeah, nobody want to be with y'all bitches. Like, y'all complaining about where you can go, but yet you at home with your robes. And to Steve's point, if I'm whining and dining you and I'm showing you some expensive shit off top, I'm lying to you. You're not getting the real me. I'm just trying to get in the drawers and be out.
Right.
You might as well leave the money on the dresser.
Right. You know, and I think part of it too, though, man, is, you know, it's two things. Steve touched on it. You know, with the social media, part of it is that they want to go to these places and be like, "Yo, look where I'm at." You know, so I can post on social media that I'm at this location, tag myself there, take a picture of my plate. You know, look at this expensive shit that I'm eating. You know, whatever, right?
And you would have never been there anyway.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So you got the social media aspect of it too, but then the second part of it is the fact of most of these people, even the girl in the original post, they're young. These young 20-somethings who don't know nothing about nothing, you know, and they're like, "Oh, we can't go here, we can't go there, da da da." Now, some of the places on the list make sense, right? Like one of them was like the gym, right? Who the fuck's going to the gym on a first date? You know, like I get it if both of y'all are some kind of workout enthusiasts or something, you know, hey, do you know, but that's not a typical first date. You know what I'm saying? Right. The movies, also not a good first date. Yeah, we can't talk. How are we gonna get to know each other? You know what I'm saying? So I get like places like that, but to say like, oh, you know, Chili's and these chain restaurants are beneath me, you know, and then they added Cheesecake Factory, which most people look at the Cheesecake Factory as being like the step up. You know what I mean? Like, yo, I'm on my bag. I'm in my bag tonight. We're gonna go to cheesecake. You know, like that's when you know you might have to put on a nice shirt for that one. You know what I mean? But she's saying you can't go to cheesecake either. And it's like, yo, what the fuck? I'm like, if this list was the list when I was still dating, you know, I'd be out the game. Because I mean, literally, Chili's the first spot me and my wife ever went to when we were dating.
And you said wife. And these chicks out here just trying to get a date. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? I know a girl I went to high school with who had the nerve to post online, and see, people are delusional. Had the nerve to post online talking about, I was going to Cheesecake Factory in high school. No, you weren't. You was at Kennedy Fried Chicken with me.
Right. He was at Red Lobster. He was at Red Lobster eating them Cheddar Bay biscuits. That's what you was doing. And you wasn't even ordering no food. You went up in there, you got the Cheddar Bay biscuits. Half you bitches only order fucking chicken nuggets when you go out anyway. Chicken tenders with fucking honey mustard. Y'all want to go to these extravagant places, ain't never had a Brussels sprout.
Yo.
Miss me with that bullshit. Because you want to show Instagram, oh, this is where he took. Now, I'll put some training wheels on this. If I know you, if we work together and you have a specific lifestyle that I may be accustomed to, I talk to you as a friend, you know, whatever, and now I'm like, hey, listen, let me take you out, and you agree to it. And I know that you're not the type of person that goes out to Chili's, or I know that you don't do the 2 for $20 from Applebee's, right? And I try to take you there. That's a different story, right? But if it's a first date, I don't know you. I'm meeting you on Tinder or whatever. I don't even know what they use these days. Like whatever they're using these days. And they don't use it no more. Whatever.
I said Tinder is not for dates.
Oh, okay.
That's for Pound Town.
Well, whatever. And it's a first date. Look, You don't know my situation, right? We might have had some conversations, but I could tell you one thing: before a first date, most people not talking about their financial situation. So you don't know the financial situation that I'm in right now. And if all you want from me is to take you to somewhere that's going to be, the bill's going to run up 200, 300, then fuck I want to be with you for? Even if I got it. Even if I got it.
And part of this narrative too is, that we can't escape is that, unfortunately, there's been this tug of war in our culture, men and women just going at it. And, every moment we can find, I'm going to take this moment to bash men. I'm going to take this moment to bash brothers working 9 to 5. You
Mhm.
see these clips like, and I know VP hated Kevin Samuels, but I mean there are other people out there. You've seen women on there that have literally described themselves. I have 3 children, 3 different baby daddies. I only make 60,000, but I want a man with no kids, makes 200,000, has a 6 pack. What are we talking about? Like, what reality are we really living in? What are we
Yeah.
doing?
I
And
think it
and you
goes
know,
both ways. VP's gonna call me crazy. He's not gonna believe him saying this. But I think it's men too, in all cultures, right? But when we're talking specifically about our culture because that's what we see regularly. But men do the same thing, right? Like just because she got multiple children, don't get me wrong. People make bad decisions along their life, but we judging them. We judge them right out right out front. Like that's an easy one. I'm smashing. Like or I don't want nothing to do with her. She got three of them things. Like so it's a two-way street. I think in general, like for for people out there that are dating, everybody got to do better. And it's easy to say when you're not you're not in the pool. You in the pool, so you could be like, listen, the water is deep. Uh, it's not circulating. Somebody peed in this pool. And we just on the outside looking in, like, man, that is a nice glistening pool. It'd be nice if maybe we just put a little waterfall in the corner or something like that.
no, I think you're right, Steve. But at the end of the day, though, man, you know, if anybody, whether it's the man or the woman, if you're gonna date somebody with kids, you gotta be mature enough to be in that space. And there might be some people who's like, yo, I can't do that. I don't want to have no baby daddy drama or baby mama drama. If it's the chick or whatever. Other people are like, yo, it's whatever. Like if it's a package deal, it is what it is. My wife's stepdad, when her stepdad met their mom, her mom already had 4 kids, and they were married forever. You know what I mean? Until he passed away in a car accident or whatever. So it's just it depends on the person. So I don't but the idea that you can't go to a common restaurant, because that's essentially what this post is saying. You can't take me somewhere common if we're going on a date. And I
Mhm.
just think that that's complete bullshit. Some of the stuff on the list, like I said, I think are they're not wrong, right? Nobody wants to go to the gym, church, um
Mm,
you know
never know. Some of
uh
them some of them gym rats, they want to go, and some of them spiritual women, they want to go too.
Right, but I'm saying if it's a person who's like I'm saying, like, I'm just like being more like the average person
I
is
got you
not gonna want to go to those places on a first date.
on a first date.
Um,
True,
like I
and
said, the
really, yeah,
movies.
that's not a date. You're
Yeah,
right.
movies. You can't talk at the movies. How do you get to know a person? I don't even think bowling for a first date is a good idea, just because I feel like that's kind of like a second, third date idea. Most people are gonna go to dinner, but you've essentially taken off like 50% of the dinner spots on this list.
I don't
And,
agree with
and
you. I don't agree with you. Bowling and movies are an add-on, right? They're like you should be having dinner and bowling in the movie. So you should be able to get your chat on at dinner probably before you go to either of those. And you're gonna know by the time dinner is done whether or not y'all gonna continue that date. You know what I mean? And now you're going into the fun. Like, all right, hey, you wanna go to the movies, or do you want to go bowling, or you want to just chop it up, or you want to just go walk. You want to go to the park and walk and continue to talk. Like it's just it's just stupid gender wars, man. And I'm gonna pull up the one about that the men made about the women because I think that one's just as funny.
Like, and then like on the list, the chick says number 17 Starbucks, and then at 18 coffee dates. It's like,
Oh yeah,
you know,
this was just to
like
go viral. Somebody just trying
yeah,
to go viral.
and that, you know, what's crazy too is that cheesecake, even though they out here, you know, catching these strays, they ain't done nothing wrong to nobody. You know, I love cheesecake.
Right,
Like
and they
for
cheesecake is
them,
expensive. It's like $9 for a slice of cheesecake up in there.
right?
Probably more now with inflation. Thanks, Joe.
But they've got nothing but they've got nothing but free advertising from this shit, because I've seen it all over the news. Like I've seen like real news like covering this thing.
Yeah.
Stephen A. Smith talked about it on his podcast. Shannon Sharpman talked about it. LL Cool J tweeted out after the night after this went viral that he was going to cheesecake, you know, just because of this whole bullshit, like taking shots at cheesecake or whatever, you know.
I like cheesecake
I
factory.
do too. I like cheesecake.
And they have the Grand Lux as a part of their franchise, which is,
Oh
you
yeah,
know, it's
that's their
another.
upscale joint.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't get it, man. It's
Listen, so this is the one that the men made, that a male made, and they put Reverend Samuels on it. Um, Reverend Dr. Samuels Jr. Uh, so I don't, again, I won't go through all of them because there's a lot. But first one is single mothers. That's tough. Women with tattoos, women who dress like this in public. I don't know what that was. Sex workers, OnlyFans girls, mattress actresses, strippers, call girls, escorts, Instagram models, bottle girls. This is all one. That's number 4. Number 5, women with an Instagram page, women with non-ear piercings, women with purple hair, women with hoe friends, models who market to men. That's 9, and then 10, women who travel regularly. Oh, and then there's two big ones here. Women who drink liquor regularly, and then women with weak or absentee fathers.
Wow.
See, but here's the thing, right? They be okay with that. Don't, that list about don't take me here on the first date. But this stereotypical shit that the men made, that is low blow.
It kind of goes back to our first topic where we talked about proportionality. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. We're not gonna
But
give them pow pow. We're gonna throw this whole gender underwater. Basically, we
right.
walking around saying we're gonna be Dwight Howard out here by this list.
Yo, and then the chick in the original post, she said, I didn't see this part of it because I only saw the list. I didn't see the video, but I'm reading here in this news story I'm reading about where she says, this is a chain restaurant. Who takes someone who looks like this to a chain restaurant? A woman should be cared for and cherished. Like, bitch, are you sick? Like, yo, they
oh,
man,
you didn't see the original video? Yeah, it was nasty. It was nasty, and the dude she was with looked like he could have been Hispanic or Indian or something like that. And he's just like, are you recording me?
Right. And dude was
wow.
innocent as shit. Like, yo, we on a date. Like, I'm trying to open the door for you gentlemanly. Right? He came around to open the door to let her out. Not to put the bitch in, to let her out. He came around to open the door, and she's in there recording on live and shit. Like, girl, he just took me to Cheesecake Factory. If you don't get your ass. First of all, I can tell that your hair is fake. Your hair is fake. You can't grow your own hair. You can't pick your own date spot. How about that?
All right.
How about that?
He should have opened the door for her to get out and then got back in the car and left.
Yeah,
Left her
absolutely.
ass
She said she wasn't getting out. That was the problem. And
Oh,
and I'll give him grace because he still took her home. I'd have
damn.
been like, oh, you're not getting out. All right, well, you got the Uber app? You got the
Right.
Uber app? Because you're not staying in my car.
I'd have pulled up at the restaurant she wanted to go to, let her out, walked her to the seat. Yeah, I gotta go to the bathroom. Left her
No,
with that bill.
I would have ate and then went to the bathroom. Hey, hold on real quick. Let me go wash my hands. I'll be right back.
Yep. The
Now
old
you
I gotta go to the
pay this
bathroom.
$300 bill. How about that? It's
Absolutely.
That is
crazy, yo.
insane,
It's
man.
crazy. This all stems from social media, man.
Yeah,
This
no
is
doubt.
social media. Because
Yep.
if it wasn't a social media moment, ain't no way somebody's, or pre-social media and going viral, ain't no way somebody's gonna be sitting there and be like, "Oh, Cheesecake Factory, ew." You know what I mean? And if you is like that or was like that, then you need to get your standards checked.
Yeah, it's. I really believe, man, that on the mental health spectrum, clinicians have to start accounting for the impact of social media. Because social media is really creating a delusional effect for people. Like
Mhm.
they really are out there. Like it just doesn't make any sense. And when I watch people that I know online, posting the statuses, and like some of them, I know their situation. Okay, your baby daddy was bad, but you literally out here, a single mom, crying about how you do this by yourself. It's so hard, but yet you promoting this list of places a dude could take you. Like, what if he has a kid like you? We not taking our kids to no 5-star spot where all of us, the bill is $500. Now we going to
Right.
Applebee's or Chili's or something, like, you know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about, man? And it's delusion. It's literally delusion at its finest.
Yeah, no, it's no doubt, man. Like, for me, like those are the only spots we've ever eaten at. And me and Steve we were chopping it up in pre-production. I was like, like for me, like the Cheesecake Factory was like the step up place. It was like, okay, we're gonna this is for a big thing. We're gonna go to Cheesecake as a little bit higher price point. You know what I mean? And
Cheesecake was when you
so
was trying to get the draws back in the day.
right. You know what I mean? Like this shit is just it's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. Like people if you are just the average person who has like the average income, you're not going to the Capitol Grill or to Ruth's Chris or something like that,
Mhm.
on a first date. You know what I mean? Like, come on, like you living in a fantasy world. But to both of our points, or to all of our points really about the social media, right? What happens is that these young girls are seeing their favorite celebrity or Instagram influencer and stuff like that, and these are the places that they go. Right, they're watching Cardi B go to wherever she went for her birthday with Offset, and he's giving her all of these. I think they were like Hermes bags or something like that, and they came home and the whole living room is flooded with roses and all that kind of shit. And they're like, "How come you didn't do that?" And it's like, you know, because I only make 40 grand a year. That's why. Yeah, like that bag she got is my whole year's salary. So like wake the fuck up.
Yeah, yeah.
Somebody need to tell these broads. Russell Wilson just rented out Waffle House for
Waffle
Sierra,
House. Yep.
and guess what? Sierra grateful. She was
And she
grateful for
was
it.
she was
Sure,
loving that shit.
sure he shut the shit down. I mean, of course he shut the shit down. It's a little different, but it's still it's Waffle House,
Yeah.
And
I
listen,
can guarantee you he ain't pay more than $5 grand to do that.
But even still though,
right
it's
on
not
a
it's not
Tuesday
like
in the morning.
right. They were eating Waffle House food though. For him, he's a celebrity, he shut it down, whatever. So, I'm pretty sure the cost wasn't that much. But the fact that it was Russell House, or to Russell Waffle House, and she's in the car like, y'all, oh my God, what you know what I mean? And these chicks acting like Chili's,
Right.
like like come
Listen,
on,
She,
I
she,
should be
she
able
a
to
part
take
of
you
it.
anywhere you could get steak for a first date.
She a part of the problem too, though. Making songs talking about, not needing no man. Your ass is sitting up in there with that 160 million laying next to you. Stop playing.
Hmm. Well, I mean, Future told us she was for the streets. Not Future. Yeah, Future. He told us she was for the streets. I mean, look, Bow Wow smash. What are we talking about?
Beyonce was guilty of that shit too. Talking about to the left, to the left. Meanwhile, Jay in the elevator getting smacked up by Solange and shit. You
Nah,
ain't
nah,
going nowhere.
but
Beyonce
you
was
got
just
you got to separate the art from real life though. Like that's the thing though.
yeah.
You know what I'm
That
saying?
that's what I'm saying. They can't do because they hear Beyonce and Sierra say it. Like you said, they roll over and be like, "Well, why you ain't do that?
Right.
You can pack your bags. Yeah, all right. Who gonna pay this rent, nigga?"
Exactly.
But
It's
Erica Badu too. Talking about some Tyrone. All right, bitch,
yeah.
Tyrone. I get mail at this place. I'm not leaving.
Exactly.
So
Shit, me.
that shit is wild. Hey, Steve, Russ helped was Sierra upgrade. She was the future. Now she get invited to the White House.
Yeah, listen, I'm not mad at Sierra, man. She went and got her bag. I mean, and she went through
That's a
like
blow up.
when you talk about the culture, she went through some dragging. Like, remember all the people talking about she a man and all that shit. So
Yo,
I'm
that
not
was
mad.
wild.
Yeah, I'm not mad at Sierra. Like, they did her dirty. We did her dirty because y'all took part in that shit too. I know y'all did. Even though I
Not
wasn't
me.
there, I know y'all.
Not
Listen,
me. I never could understand that one.
if any one of the three of us, if you asked anyone that knows the three of us to bet which one, you would be the bet. you,
I think
Nah, it
so.
you would
wasn't me. It wasn't me. I didn't believe in that. I couldn't see it. I thought she was.
I
I always
bet you
thought she was
didn't.
fine.
I bet you didn't see it. Um uh well, since we're talking about Russ, VP, you were talking about or you sent a video and Dolphins fans. I guess because I'm your friend on X, and I look at your stuff at times. I now have a Dolphins algorithm, so I get all the scorn Dolphins posts. Mm. But y'all are like a ex-wife scorn right now with that Eagles game. Um and I saw you posted a video. Y'all hold on to everything, but this one, y'all are holding on. Y'all are holding on to this as long as the Eagles held on to the loss in the Super Bowl.
I mean, the shit is just it's foul, man. It's foul when watching the game live, you see missed calls, and then when you see stuff that people are posting online showing the missed calls, and then juxtaposing the missed calls on the Dolphins that were, literally there were three different plays where Eagles offensive linemen are holding Dolphins rushers around the neck and no call, and then the offensive the offensive holding they were calling on the Dolphins, where the shit looks almost ticky tack, in comparison at least, it just looks nasty, man. It looks real nasty, and you know, I think this Dolphins game right here is probably the first time that I've literally felt the thing that you always say when you talk about how you hate that report that the NBA puts out that says like these missed calls, because it's like, what are we gonna do about it? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I was already like so pissed that this stuff didn't get called. And I was thinking like, man, they put that report out. I'm gonna fucking lose it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad that the NFL doesn't do that like the NBA does or whatever. But it was nasty work, man. It was nasty work. And you already have a contingent of NFL fans who think that the games are rigged. You know what I mean? And you see something like this, and it makes you say, at first I thought the game was rigged. Now I know it is. You know what I mean? Because that shit, it was just ridiculous. The to play a whole game of football and not have one single
Yeah.
penalty attributed to you as a team, like that's ridiculous, man.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's crazy because that the reality of it is that has been the Eagles. The Eagles season last year was very similar. I'm not going to say every game they had zero penalties, but there was a lot of missed calls last season for them. But it listen, this is welcome to being a Cowboys fan. Welcome to being a Cowboys fan. Because here's the thing, it's not, and when I say that, I don't mean in the sense of just the Cowboys, right, as itself, but when you are a team that's talked about regularly, now you're going to have this magnification of people that are watching the game. You guys have more primetime games. You guys have more games that are being televised that people are seeing. Especially when you're playing these big games, like the Eagles was a big game. You're playing the Super Bowl, the previous Super Bowl contender or whatever.
Right.
So now you got people that are looking at it and they're gonna put them out there, and I think you guys lost to star power. The star power was the Eagles, right? And it also came out that one of the officials was from Pennsylvania, 20 miles away from, where the Eagles play, from Philadelphia. So there's that aspect to it. But yes, when I watch that video, there's a lot missed. And when you slow down the game and you go into slow motion on any game that you watch, you're gonna see that type of stuff. the biggest piece, I think, to your point, is that zero calls for the other team. Zero
Right.
calls, 0 yards lost by penalties, on the other team. And then when you start to look at like the clear cut one, I think it was Tyreek Hill that they grabbed his face mask.
No, that was Cedric Wilson Jr.
So, okay, nonetheless, right? And that was clear. You watching the
And the
game,
ref is right there.
and yeah, and you could see it. So there's, you have those ones where really good veteran defenders know where the refs are, know where the officials are, and they might tug a jersey, but it's from an angle where it can't be seen. And then
Mhm.
you see it on the play, and people are like, oh, how could I miss that? Well, because if you look at the position of the refs, this person knows, right? They know this type of thing. But it's those open, blatant ones that you see them missing that make you feel like, come on, man, like my team can't beat the other team and the refs,
Right,
and the media. It's just too
right.
much.
And also I think part of it too, like when you talk about like the Dolphins fans like going hard online, you know, I was talking to my brother about this, and I was saying I think part of the reason that we go so hard like that is because one, we've been a bad team for a while, right? And so now like we're having some success, we're getting some notoriety, things like that, right? But then on
Mhm.
top of that, it's like even in our success, people try to shit on us, and then it makes you like double down with going for your team, and like you posted a thing in the chat. I think it was either yesterday or the day before about the teams that Dolphins have beat, right?
Mhm.
And everybody keeps making this point. Oh, all the teams Dolphins beat are combined, 8 and 30 or something like that, right? One, my whole thing, you only can beat the teams that come in the schedule. That's one.
Right.
Two, the Bills haven't beaten any teams over 500 except the one win they have against the Dolphins. You don't hear anybody making that point about the Bills. The Bills are their Super Bowl team, the AFC East favorites, all that kind of stuff like that, even though they haven't beaten anybody. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like you, you know, Tua. They love to criticize Tua, right? When Tua is rolling, oh, he hasn't really played anybody. When he plays bad, this guy's he's not the answer. I don't know. And it's like, yo, when the stuff, I don't know if you saw the running play they did to Tyreek Hill, where Tyreek Hill comes in motion, Tua goes like he's giving it to the running back, and then throws the ball like a no look behind the back pass to Tyreek or
Yeah.
whatever, and then Tyreek,
Yeah.
does the end around basically. They did that play last week or the week before, and they did it again in the Philly game. And somebody online made the point, and they said if Patrick Mahomes did this shit, it would
Oh
be
yeah.
like all 10 spots of ESPN's top 10. But when the Dolphins do it, like ah, it's fucking gimmicks, like what are we talking about here? You know what I mean? And that's the thing that I think that makes Dolphins fan, especially me, speaking for myself, go crazy is that the things that we see other teams, other players get attention for, when our team does those things and does them well, it's like, I mean, come on, man, anybody could do that.
Yeah. No, I feel you. Listen, trust me, I feel you. If anybody feels you, I feel you. This Dak Prescott has a bad game. He's the worst quarterback ever to play the game. Dak Prescott has a good game. The other team played bad. The other team played bad, and really, did he really have a good game? Because they didn't score in the red zone. Like it's
Right.
stuff like. So I get it. I
And
get it on.
even when they say that any like, and especially like for Tua, right? Like I feel bad for Tua because it's like, like he came in the league with all these expectations, based on the whole tank for Tua and all that kind of stuff like that, right?
Right.
And he comes in, he gets hurt. Or first he can't even play right away because he's still recovering from the hip. Then they put him in, he doesn't look good. Why doesn't he look good? Well, one, he hasn't fucking played in a year. Has anybody thought about that? But it's like he comes in the first game like, man, this guy looks bad. Like what rookie quarterback plays their first game and you're like, man, he's the guy. I see why, this is why they drafted this. Like all rookies look bad that first game. Like shit, you criticize me for giving Wimby smoke for looking bad his first game. And so there's that aspect of it, right? Then the next year, he still is not looking that great. Then they bring in Tyreek and all of them, and he has the concussion. So it's like, oh, this guy can't stay healthy. Now if you look at last year when Tua was playing, he was literally leading the league in all the major like quarterback count. This year, he's either first, tied for first, and the stuff that he's not either first or tied for first, and he's like top 3, top 4, right?
Right.
And they're like, oh, I mean, I don't know. It's like, it's like, it's like, yo, like what the fuck?
When's he gonna get hurt?
Do?
That's what they're saying.
Exactly.
He's only one hit away from not being able to play. I know what you're saying because
he's taking sacks, and he seems to be fine. You know, like I told you, you can see a couple of times where the jiu-jitsu is the way he's falling, he's rolling sometimes into the fall and that kind of thing. To even the thing with Ryan Clark, when Ryan Clark talked about him being thick, right? That whole thing was about Tua came to camp overweight, right? But that was intentional. Tua purposely bulked up in the offseason. He reported to camp at 235, and then during camp, he slimmed down to 215 because he wanted to put on that muscle to be able to absorb hits if he takes sacks. You know what I mean? And so, but instead of saying, man, this quarterback is trying to do the right thing here to make sure he can make his body stronger to be able to take sacks if he gets hit and not get hurt. That boy thick. He should be at Magic City. It's like, come on, dude. Like,
he was walking around like he had a BBL though. Oh man, yeah. I again, the NFL. EJ says, I wish he was here because he always says the NFL refs have the hardest job. And there's a lot of moving, a lot of motion and stuff like that. But listen, man, put more out there then. Put more out there because some of it is so blatant. And it's stuff that's missing. Sometimes it's rules, like the Cowboys game. I mean, the Cowboys won the game against the Chargers, but when they were up by 10, I want to say it was, they hold the Chargers, they grind it out, defense grinds it out, they punt it, and then the punt team pushes someone into Turpin who called for a fair catch. And then another person touches the ball and it turns into a fumble, and Chargers take over the ball and they score a touchdown, right? And now it's a 3-point game. And luckily Cowboys figured it out. They end up going down, they score, and they win the game or whatever. But nonetheless, that's game changing for any game. That's 7 point. That's a 10 to 14 point potential, or if nothing else, 4 to 5 minute swing on the clock that you're allowing because you missed a call that everyone's sitting at home. When I put it in the chat, you were like, no, they can't. And I'm like, well, it just happened, right? And then I Googled it, and you were right. They can't. But these are officials that are paid to do this. Granted, this, you say it all the time, this is not their primary gig. If you're not paying them enough for this to be their primary gig and they're not getting the job done the right way, then you need to pay them more. Like UPS. Get out there, get a deal done, and pay these guys more and say, hey, look, you cannot have another job during the season. In the off season, you can do whatever the fuck you want. But during the season, you can't have another job. And maybe 2 months before or 3 months before, you got to be here every day. We're going to talk about rule changes. We're going to watch tape, whatever that looks like. But the NFL has to do better with that.
Yeah, they have to, man. Like it's the whole, like you said, speed of the game. You can slow the game down and see penalties everywhere. But for them to even miss the blatant stuff and the thing that you brought up with the Cowboys, where a player is blocked into somebody and the ref, they're right there when the guy is fair catching. So or for any kind of kick interference penalty, the ref is right there. The same way on the offensive side, you have the two refs right behind the quarterback, which is why they see so much holding, because they're literally right there. You know what I mean? And they make either bullshit no calls or bullshit calls, where even like on Christian Wilkins, when he hits Jalen Wilkins, even the crew calling the game was like, I don't know about that, because the rule books say, like, if it's within 2 steps, it's okay. Christian Wilkins takes 1 step and then pushes him, and they throw a flag for roughing the passer, and that was a 3rd down play that we got them off the field. Now, it's easy to say, okay, you're saying you're one of the top defensive linemen in the league. You're asking the Dolphins to give this huge ass contract or whatever. You're still in the middle of contract negotiation. You can't be making dumb plays like that or whatever. True enough, right? But if you're playing within the rules and then you're still getting penalized, it's like, what the fuck do we do here? You know?
Right. Yeah, and yeah, and he's a running quarterback, right? So we see Lamar Jackson. We see the only other quarterback in the league that gets those calls that is a mobile quarterback is Patrick Mahomes.
Mhm.
So we're officially saying Jalen Hurts deserves the Patrick Mahomes treatment. Like that's like the John Morant getting the LeBron calls last year. People were calling that out. Like, yo, John Morant is getting calls that he probably shouldn't be getting. He not, KD. He's not Steph. He not LeBron. He don't deserve them calls, right? Same things
Right.
happen right now. Same things happen.
And, and it in the league should feel some kind of way about that. It's funny. Like, me and TJ, we watch the game sometimes, and I remember, when the first time he asked me this, because I like a foul happened, and he was like, "That's not a foul." I was like, "That's a superstar call," and he was like, "What does that mean?" And like I explained to him, like, LeBron, KD, that boo boo boo, and he just kind of like shook his head or whatever. And the league should feel bad about that. That you literally have fans who have category there's a separate category of penalty where it's like, oh,
Mhm.
this is just a common foul, and then these are superstar fouls or whatever, and you shouldn't want your game to be officiated that way.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree 100%. NFL's got to do a lot better because it used to be where not officials, where broadcasters wouldn't say shit. Broadcasters would be like, "Oh, mum's the word," right? But now
Mhm.
you're getting it. Now you got guys like, and unfortunately, I think that's what's leading to some of them, at least in the NBA, losing their jobs, right? I think the Mark Jacksons, the Van Gundys of the world that are vocal about it. Now you have the Stan Van who's like, "Oh, I'm not sure that was a foul," but then you got the Jeff Van Gundy that's like, "That is not a foul."
Right.
That is not a foul. I've been in the NBA for X amount of years, and that's not a foul. They missed that call. And next thing you know, he don't got a job. At
Mhm.
least he doesn't have a job broadcasting because he did get a job at Boston. But you're getting that in the NFL now too. You got guys that are like, that is not a foul. And then you got the media, the Ryan Clarks of the world that are like, listen, man, that shouldn't have been called. That was a missed call, 100%. It was a game changing call. So now these leagues need to be looking and saying, hey, how do we make this better? How do we get our brand back? Because we don't want our brand to be the league with the officiating that looks bad.
Mhm.
And we said this multiple times. Sports betting is magnified a million times from where it was 10 years ago, 5 years ago. And now when you're missing these calls, it's starting to look like stuff that,
Yep.
is because somebody might be betting.
Yep. It
So,
definitely does. It definitely does. And even though this didn't happen in the NFL with the what's his name, Donahue or whatever, the
mhm,
NBA guy,
yeah,
people know, it was one thing, it was one of those things like, I know what happens, I just can't prove it kind of thing. But when that happened, people just automatically assume this stuff has to be happening in the NBA, hockey, baseball, etc. Because you look at some of these calls and it's just like, either this ref doesn't know the rules or the fix is in, and so, and I can't imagine that you are a ref, especially given what it takes to become an NFL ref. I can't imagine that you're a ref and don't know the rules. So it has to be that, the fix is in. So it's sad, man. The NFL definitely needs to clean it. Some people say, and I agree with this, I don't know if this fixes the problem, but one of the schools of thought is that the NFL needs full-time refs. And because I don't know if
mhm,
you know this, like the refs have regular jobs, like refereeing's a side gig for them, you know.
mhm,
But other people say, well, they can't really do that because some of these guys, like, this ref is a lawyer, or this guy's probably making, six figures at his lawyer job and he's doing the NFL. So if they're gonna have full time, they got to bump up the pay, and it's like, it's not that many refs. So if they had to bump up their pay some, like, it is what it is. But I would rather pay them a little bit more, have them be full time to where their whole career is revolved around refereeing. We got the games on Sunday, and then we train. Maybe we take Monday, Tuesday off, and then Wednesday we're watching film. Looking at stuff the NFL sent out. Clarifying thing. Whatever, whatever. So that way we're as tight as possible when it's time to do these games, because they're literally millions and billions of dollars on the line. You know what I mean? We're talking about player contracts because this guy who got a sack that was going to allow him to get a bonus or something like that, that now got taken away because you called, roughing the passer or whatever. This guy who needed to get that catch, but you missed this defensive PI or whatever. This team that could have made a playoff game or won a playoff game or whatever because you blew this call or whatever. You know what I mean? In all these sports books and things like that. Like there's
Yep.
way too much on the line for the officiating to be this bad and to be this off.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. I mean, to me, I think it's all sports betting. It's sports betting. Like for me, right? I could sit here, for example, I just working on some underdog fantasy stuff, right? Shout out to Underdog Fantasy. And I'm looking at, will Micah Parsons have a sack today, right? And so let's say we're in the fourth quarter, and in that fourth quarter against the Chargers, right? That was the only sack Micah Parsons had that game. Now let's say I know all my other 4 bets have hit, and I'm officiating this Monday night game, and all I need is Micah Parsons to get this sack, or I put the house on him not getting a sack in this game, right? And I'm the official, and he's made it all the way to the fourth quarter with 2 minutes less than 2 minutes, minute and a half, and he gets that sack. Why don't I throw a flag?
Yeah.
Why don't I throw a flag? Right. And they didn't, right? That's not what happened in this game. But that was the one sack he had in that game. And your odds are going to be super high because this guy gets sacks every week, right?
Yeah.
So you take that bet as an official, and let's say he gets 2 sacks in that game, and it just happens to be a penalty on him. And it may not be a penalty on him because it's too obvious, but you might have found a holding call or, legal hands to the face somewhere else on the field that you can throw a flag for, and nobody's questioning it.
Right.
Right. They just, they got to do better. They have to do better. It just looks bad.
I agree.
But looking at this week's games, we got a pretty good list of games.
I sent you the schedule in the chat.
Yep. I'm looking at that now. There's 1 o'clock. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 1 o'clock games. Pretty dope. I would love to. Maybe I'll go somewhere and watch some 1 o'clock games.
I'm worried about that for fantasy. All of my players play. I think I only have 2 players that don't play at 1. So whatever I get is what I get. So
yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I don't know who plays tomorrow. I'll have to look that up. But
the Monday night?
Yeah, Monday night game. Tonight's a Chargers and Bears. That's interesting.
I'll look it up.
That 4 o'clock window is going to be pretty good. Well, I don't know. I mean, the Kansas City Denver game shouldn't be good, but Denver always. Oh, that's a 1 o'clock game. So forget that I said that. No, that's 4:25. My bad. It shouldn't be good, but it always is because it's divisional and it's going to be snowy there. So I'm interested in that one. San Fran and the Bengals. San Fran coming off of some big losses. Bengals trying to show they are, who they've been for the past few years. That's going to be another good one, but we'll get to those. Let's start early window.
Monday night is going to be Raiders Lions.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Waste. I'm on Raw for me in almost all my leagues, but all right. So we have the Falcons going into Tennessee. I don't know if Tannehill's starting today. I think he got banged up last week. Okay, so no Tannehill. I gotta go look and see what I got going on there. Bijan Robinson is coming back. Last week was a tough situation for him. Apparently he had a stomach bug. He went out there, ran for 2 yards, and then didn't play for the rest of the game, which is really tough for fantasy managers, or really tough for people who had bets in place on him. Like that was a tough one, but they're saying that he's back. They pulled him off of the injury report yesterday. And you got Atlanta going up against Tennessee without their starting quarterback. I think Malik Willis is starting today for them.
I'm gonna go Atlanta here. They actually said that they're gonna let both quarterbacks play, Malik Willis and the other kid. So that old adage in football: if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. So and these are 2 essentially rookies. So I don't see them getting it done. And also, while we're on Tennessee, the Titans informed Derrick Henry that they have received trade requests for him. They are not trading him, so they let him know that.
Yeah. I'll say everyone has a price, VP.
Yeah,
Everyone
yeah.
has a price. I'll tell you one thing: if Denver come calling, they'd be like, "Hey, we'll give you Patrick Surtain and some picks for it," and Tennessee says no to that, they done lost their mind. Now that's not realistic, but everybody has a price. So
Hmm.
it sounds good on paper, but the trade deadline is Tuesday. So we'll keep our ears to the ground on that because there's a lot of names that are rumored to potentially be on the move. And that'd be interesting to watch. I'm also with you. I got Atlanta. Desmond Ritter, we talked a lot of shit about him. I talked a ton of shit about him, and every time I talk shit about him, he does well. So, um, but he's finding ways to get it done. He's scoring with his legs. He's getting the ball to Drake London. And even though, and now he finally started using Kyle Pitts, he realized he has a tight end that was drafted in the top 5. Um, the one thing about that team that's really frustrating for me is, like you said, you got two quarterbacks. You don't have one. They're running with 3 running backs. They're running with Bijan, a guy that they drafted early, Tyler Algier, who they drafted early as well, and now they're mixing in Cordero Patterson. Relax. Put Cordero Patterson somewhere else. Let him stick. He's old. Let him stick to maybe use him for the goal line if you're worried about these guys getting hurt. But it it's not gonna work long term when you start playing against
Hmm.
good teams. You got to get these younger kids reps. You got to get them game speed. You got to put them in situations where they have to win, so that when there's times that they can win, they will win. So
Okay.
get these kids the ball.
Yeah.
Next on the docket, we've got. You want to go right? Go to the right. Go Jets.
Yeah, you can go left, right, left, right.
Battle for New Jersey, I guess we'll call it, since they don't play in New
Sub,
York.
Subway Series.
The Subway, yeah, the football Subway Series. Mac Jones versus
No, not Mac Jones.
I'm sorry,
Wilson,
Mac
Zach,
Jones.
Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson versus Tyrod Taylor. Shout out to Tyrod Taylor. You saw the poster that came out that said he's the first black quarterback to win in MetLife Stadium, right? For the Giants.
In MetLife or for the
Or
Giants?
or for the Giants, I think ever.
Okay.
That's crazy. That's a crazy stat.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is a crazy stat. But shout out to him. He got it done. Jets going into New York. I didn't see much on the injury report from the Jets side. New York is of course without Daniel Jones. I'm not calling him Danny Dimes because it's just crazy. But they do have Saquon. What's that look like for you?
For that one, man, I'm gonna go with the Jets here. The Jets still have a really good defense. Their defensive line is top tier, and the Giants O line is trash. They gave up 7 sacks to us, and we don't like we're I think we're in top 5 sacks, and it's because we got 7 sacks in that game. Like, you know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
how we got up there, because we weren't getting any pressure like all year, and all of a sudden it's like, man, we're in the top rankings for sacks. So they so I'm gonna go, but Tyrod can't run too, so I'm going Jets. I'm not gonna talk myself out.
Yeah, I'm rocking with the Jets. I don't see the Giants getting it done. I mean, I like seeing Tyrod out there because I've always been, on his side. He's sat behind some pretty good quarterbacks in his days, and then he lost his job over in the Chargers because doctors, what they do, they hit his aorta or some wild shit.
They punctured his lung.
Same difference, but nonetheless, he was a starter there, and he lost that job before he got started. So, but no, I think the Jets get this game. Defense is too good. The Jets defense, they're good. Jacksonville goes into Pittsburgh, I believe. I got Jacksonville winning this game, but I could see them losing it.
Yeah, this was like, I feel like Jacksonville is on the come up, but they're not there yet for some reason. But I'm gonna go Pittsburgh. I think I'm gonna go Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Jacksonville is underperforming for what everyone thought at the beginning of the year, at least from a fantasy standpoint. People loved Jacksonville and people thought they were going to have a great year. thought Trevor Lawrence was going to take that step forward. They brought in Calvin Ridley, said this is going to be a guy that's a game changer for us, and he's had one game, I think, in London where he had a good game. Right. Otherwise, they're not getting it done. Etienne, on the other hand, has been getting it done. I know you know that because he's on your fantasy team and he's a Zoe.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And he's been doing work for us. He's been doing work for the hurt too sucks.
So yeah. Too soon. I would have had you do it next year, but it's all good. He probably would have forgotten.
I'm cool with the partial.
Yeah. All right. So then we have next up we got the Rams playing against the Cowboys. It's weird. This is a 1:00 game because they're in Texas or LA, one of those two areas, but still
they're playing in Dallas.
In Dallas, okay.
Yeah, so it's a 12:00 kickoff basically.
Right. I got Dallas. It's for me, there's no other choice in this one.
Yeah, I got Dallas as well. And then the Rams team is trying to do something, but they're not.
Yeah, they got to figure something out. One thing I got to say is they do have to figure something out for Cooper Kupp. Like the Cowboys can't let this guy beat him multiple times, or beat them multiple times throughout the day. I got the Cowboys in that game. We've got Houston, battle of the rookies. You got Houston with CJ Stroud going into Charlotte to play against the I think they're in Charlotte, but they're in Carolina for sure.
They're playing in Carolina. The team on the right is always the home team when you look at these things like this.
Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers up against CJ Stroud, who seems to, after again me talking shit, he seems to be NFL ready.
Yeah, of those rookie guys that came out, man, he seems to be doing the best so far. I mean, shit, one of them ain't even playing no more. In Richardson or Richards, whatever his name is.
True. I'm not sure who I've got in this game. Adam Thielen catches a lot of passes. They got Miles Sanders back for Carolina, and I just don't know that Houston can get it done, man. But I'm gonna go with him. I'm gonna go with Houston this game because Carolina has not won a game, but I think today could be the day that they win a game. But I'm gonna still go with Houston. Go with my head, not my heart.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Houston as well. I think they get it done. Stroud's playing extremely well, and D'Amico Ryan seems to be putting together something over there. So I'm gonna go Houston here.
Yep. Okay. Damn, there was something I was going to say about that game, and I completely forgot what I was going to say. But we'll move on, and I'll come back to it if I think about it. The Eagles are going into Washington. For some reason, Washington just has Jalen Hurts' number. I don't know that they win this game because Sam Howell sucks. He is an absolute horrible quarterback. Yeah. And Ron Rivera needs to retire and go chill with his family because it's not working. I got the Eagles winning this game, unfortunately, but I do want Washington to win.
Yeah, I got Eagles winning as well, but I hope that Washington kicks their ass, especially after last week. But yeah, I agree with you. Howell's trash. They got the franchise tag. I want to say we're gonna lose because I think this is last year Chase Young deal and that other the other lineman. I think both of them are at the end of their contracts here, but they can franchise one. But I wouldn't be surprised if they lost those guys because they're wasted. So, and I agree with you. I mean, Ron Rivera take as well. He got to go.
Yeah, since we're here, since you mentioned it, they do have Chase Young as one of the rumors to potentially get moved before the trade deadline for Washington. Do you think that happens? And if so, where do you think he can be an immediate difference? I mean, I think he'd be anywhere, but where do you think would be a huge landing spot for him?
I mean, it depends because I mean, I don't know. Like, I feel like the teams that are like contenders probably don't really have the kind of like flexibility to make a Chase Young move because if you trade for him, you have to be trading for him and getting ready to pay him.
Willing
You
to
know what I
pay
mean?
him, right?
And so I don't know if the teams that are contenders necessarily have that kind of flexibility to add that caliber of player and then give him a contract on top of that. So I'm not sure if any of them are really in the running for him. So I think it would have to be like a second tier team that maybe, you know, a playoff team, but not necessarily, you know, a team that's considered like a contender. You know what I mean? And if that's the case, like I don't think you make that trade. You know, so I think he stays put.
Jacksonville, their defense is good. I mean, if they, I don't know what kind of money they have, but if I could get this guy, and hopefully, make the defense even better for that team. Maybe Jacksonville's on the horn. I don't think you send him to the NFC, which is why I'm looking at Jacksonville. If I'm Houston, maybe I'm making that call. I'm getting young. I've got a young team. Maybe I try to, and it may not happen, but maybe I make that call if I'm them. Maybe if I'm Minnesota, if they have a bad game today and they don't win, maybe I call them up and say, hey, y'all interested in Kirk Cousins back? For Washington. And maybe some more. Maybe you get this guy in there. I know that's NFC, but I I don't know where else. Maybe Baltimore, but they don't have money really. Denver doesn't
The
really have
Jags.
money.
I just pulled up the cap. I'm on over the cap, and Jags have 6.4 million in cap space for this current year. And I'm not sure what their cap space is. I mean, I could look at next year, but for right now, they just have 6 million. For Baltimore, Baltimore has 6.8 million. Cowboys are sitting at 7 million in cap space, but you guys still got people you got to pay this offseason, so I'm not sure that could work.
Yeah, and it's divisional. That'd be
Mm-hmm.
stupid
Yeah.
for Washington, especially that defense is already good.
Now, a team that has a shit ton of cap space, surprisingly,
yeah, I know where you're
49ers.
Going.
49ers
Right.
have almost $40 million in cap space right now.
Yeah, but they also got a lot of people to pay next year. A
Yeah.
lot of people to pay next year. It's gonna be a difficult offseason for them. They're gonna have to figure some shit out.
Yep. 49ers and Browns. 49ers sitting at 39 million, Browns are sitting at 33, and then everybody else is 11 or less.
The Browns is an interesting spot. If I'm the Browns, their defense is stout as fuck. I get another guy on the other side of Myles Garrett.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And
I'm
then
making that call.
Especially because I'm pretty sure the Browns think we got our quarterback. It's just he's injured. You know what I mean? So if you believe that and you're already paying him a crazy salary, you might as well beef up the defense even more, and then bring in a weapon. Go get yourself a receiver in either free agency or draft one or whatever, and start trying to do work.
Yeah,
especially like one receiver that will be available, I believe, this offseason is going to be T. Higgins, because they got to pay Jamar Chase. They can't pay him and T. Higgins. So you can go out and get yourself a T. Higgins and then also draft a guy, and then bring Deshaun back healthy, have the defense being even better, adding in a guy like Young, and who knows.
Yeah, Cincinnati has a few other things they got to worry about as well. I think Wouzier is done this year. They got to decide whether they're going to keep him. They got Joe Mixon next year, who's done. So they got to figure out what they're going to do at the running back space. There's a lot for them to, and then they got those other defensive guys, and that they got to worry about as far as their their linebackers. So yeah,
but the Browns
I don't
also
know.
have no draft picks. Remember, they gave up everything to get Watson. I think they gave up like 3 or 4 first-round picks or something like that. So they have that problem too. If you're trying to trade for a guy like Young, they probably don't even have the assets to do it.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting that if I'm the Browns, like you said, I go do that specifically because I know that Cincinnati has a quarterback. The Ravens have a quarterback. The Steelers think they have a quarterback of the future for them. Like, if I can make my pass rush even better, if I'm the Browns, that's what I would be doing right now. I'd be calling them. Again, without the picks, I don't know how that works. I don't know how they get it done. All right, next one we got on the docket. The Saints are going into Indy. Um, it's still Minshew time up in Indy. Actually, I think it's going to be Minshew time for the rest of the year unless they make a move. Because I think Richardson did decide to get that shoulder surgery. And then you got Derek Carr, who he's Derek Carring.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I want to go
Yeah,
Saints, but I
it's
just
a tough
don't.
one.
Yeah, I just don't believe in that team. I don't think Derek Carr is the guy. Like, I didn't think he was the guy with the Raiders. I didn't think he was the guy when the Raiders paid him. I didn't think he was the guy when the Saints brought him. It's yeah, it's tough, man. I can see them winning this game. I'm gonna go Saints, but I don't like it.
You don't feel good about it.
Yeah.
Man, that Indy defense is pretty damn good. They got 2 running backs over there. Saints defense isn't horrible. I don't know where I'm going with this one. I'm gonna go with the quarterback I think is better, which is Derek Carr. I'm gonna go with the Saints, but I could see this game ending in a tie.
Yeah.
Vikings, Minnesota Vikings had a come out party Monday night, Sunday night, beat up on San Francisco. Everybody counted them out, thought they had no chance because Justin Jefferson wasn't playing. And then Brock Purdy came out and showed why he was Mr. Irrelevant in the draft that he was Mr. Irrelevant in. And looked like absolute trash without Debo Samuel for those big catches, with a banged up McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk being your only real tool that was, and George Kittle if you call him good, that was healthy. They looked bad, and their defense looked like they couldn't get. I mean, blocking schemes that Minnesota drew up were phenomenal because he didn't get touched,
Mm-hmm.
not one sack for that team. Actually,
Yeah.
I don't even think he got knocked down in that game, Kirk Cousins. So Minnesota figured it out. They're going into Green Bay with Jordan Love, who's looking like Green Bay probably should have kept Aaron Rodgers and moved Jordan Love somewhere else. I think Minnesota wins this game. It's a divisional game, and it's in Green Bay, so it could go either way. How do you feel?
No, I definitely I think the same here, man. It's I think Minnesota wins this game. Jordan Love, like, it's tough because, like, it's I don't want to say he's not the guy, but like, they put so much pressure on this kid by waiting until the end of his contract to let him start playing, and then he got 1 year to try to figure it out.
Yeah.
So, but I think Minnesota gets it done. They get it done, and also, they're on a bye this week, so or actually not on a bye. They play later in the fourth slot. I'll save it for them. But yeah, I'm gonna go Minnesota.
Okay. We're both on that train. Um, Dolphins are at home against New England. I got Dolphins.
This game always scares me though,
But it
because
is a trap
I mean,
game.
yeah, trap game. I mean, we're coming off a loss. Like, one of the Dolphins players said, and I forget who. I don't even think it was attributed to the player. I think they spoke anonymously, but they said, "I feel sorry for whoever play us next," or whatever, like saying like you're coming out with a
Oh,
vengeance or whatever.
gotta
So that
hate
already
that.
got me like, oh my god, like, But the thing that really worries me is divisional games. So even as good as our team is, we put up 30 against the Chargers, put up 70 against the Broncos, but in between those two games with the Patriots, we only put 24-17, divisional game. And so you got two opponents that know each other, but records are made to be broken, right? And Tua has
Yep.
never lost to Belichick in his whole career. And
Mm.
so, it kind of scares me, like, it's gonna happen eventually. I just, hopefully maybe 5 years from now, hopefully. But
Right. Hope for the best. I
right.
got Miami winning that game. Um, it scares me because I have a lot of bets. Not a lot. I have a few bets on Tyreek this week.
Mhm.
And if one thing Belichick does, he finds a way to take away that the weapon. So
Yeah.
I don't know if he triple teams, quadruple teams. This might be a Waddle week this week. Actually, I'm gonna put some lineups in with Waddle.
Yeah, we haven't seen
Um,
Waddle really go off so far this year, and I mean, he's been injured. He's missed a couple games, and he's been dealing with some stuff. So that could be it as well. But we haven't really seen him go off in the way that we thought he would.
right. And I think, this could be a good week for it. This could be a really good week for it. He could end up being your hero for Miami.
It's funny you
The-
mentioned Waddle. I'm like scrolling through X as we're talking, and right when I scroll up, you mentioned Waddle. I see the Dolphins just posted him signing stuff pregame. So
okay. Yeah, it might be a Waddle day. That might be a message. I'm gonna look at some lineups, see if I get some FanDuel or DraftKings lineups in with him. All right, we got 15 minutes. Let's get through these other ones. Cleveland goes into Seattle. PJ Walker is still starting for. Did I say PJ Walker? Uh, is it PJ Walker? No, PJ Walker is a basketball player.
yeah,
Um,
I don't know
but
what that is.
it's a PJ. I know his name's PJ.
PJ Tucker.
Start Tucker. No, PJ Tucker's a basketball player.
Oh,
Nonetheless, the Browns don't have Deshaun
right.
Watson, but they do have that defense. And they're playing against Seattle in Seattle. Did you see if DK was healthy today? Because
I
he didn't
did
play
not.
last week.
I did not see the injury report yet from Shefty on my timeline, but
Okay.
he usually puts out the ins out, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I didn't see an alert for it. So, but nonetheless, man, this is a tough one, man. This is a tough one. I think it's going to be low scoring. I think the Browns are going to hold Seattle up. I just don't know if they can get it done. I don't know if the Browns can score enough.
Yeah, I'm going Seattle here
Yeah, I
on
think.
the road and backup quarterback.
Yeah, I got Seattle. I'm with you. All right, Kansas City and Denver again, divisional game. People probably think Kansas City's going to blow them out, but it's snowing. It's one of them winter wonderland games. I love those games. And it's in Denver.
And then one more thing I'll add: Shefty tweeted out about an hour ago that the Chiefs added Patrick Mahomes to their injury report this morning for the game due to an illness. He's expected to play, but he has some kind of illness that made him be added to the injury report.
Okay. So no punter duties for him today. Well, here's before I make my decision. Is Taylor Swift at the game?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Because that's a difference maker. Travis Kelce catches like 47 passes anytime she's around. Like the splits are crazy.
Yeah.
I got Kansas City in this game. And even
I got KC as well, but I think that whatever Mahomes is dealing with is probably something to watch at least.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Next game we got is the Bengals going into San Fran. Touched on it a little bit. San Fran didn't look like themselves last week. The Bengals are starting to look like themselves a little bit. Joey Burrow's getting the ball to Chase regularly, early and often. What do you think about this game?
For this game here, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Bengals here. I think that, like you said, the it seems like Burrow's kind of took him a while to kind of get his legs under him, literally. And I think the Bengals get it done. I think it'll be close, but I think they get it done.
Yeah, I got Seattle winning this game.
Yeah,
That just might be because I hate San
Cincinnati.
Fran right now, but I'm sorry, Cincinnati. Cincinnati win this game, but it might be because I'm mad at San Fran but it's the defense, man. That San Fran defense. If they show up, it could be a long day for Joe Burrow.
Yeah,
I just don't know that they can show up against that many pass catchers.
right. And that was the thing I thought I was going to bring up real quick. I'm going to go quick since we're pressed for time here, but that's the thing with like teams like that makes Dolphins fans do what we were talking about earlier, where that team has lost back-to-back weeks against shitty teams. They lost to the Browns and then they lost to the Vikings, right? And from the media, it's been a collective yawn, right? Now, a team that people have in the Super Bowl lose to two teams with losing records, nothing to see here. A team that people say should be a team that makes a deep playoff run, potentially represent the AFC in the Super Bowl, loses to two other teams that people also say could be in the Super Bowl. It's like, yo, this team is trash. Are they overrated? You know what I'm saying? This shit is ridiculous, man.
Yeah. I'm Cincinnati, man. San Fran though, they're starting to come into their own. And historically they've been fast starters. And then it just seems to pan down. Even when Kaepernick was there, like fast starters pan down, and then usually they have a decent ending to the year because divisional wise they didn't have a lot of competition with Seattle except for when after Russ was there. But other than that,
right,
pretty quiet out there. Arizona sucks, and they still do, and they're on the next game. We got the Battle of the Birds. You got Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson looked like he deserved his contract last week, in comparison to the other weeks, but he's going into Arizona again. Still no James Conner. They still got no quarterback, if you want to call it that. I don't know if or when your boy will be back, Kyler, but
he's inactive this week. I saw Shefty posted that.
Yeah, I think Baltimore wins this game. I think it's quick and easy.
Yeah, I think Baltimore wins as well. I don't think we see Kyler until maybe after week 10, because I think Arizona probably wants to draft Caleb Williams, but they have to still trade Kyler, and nobody's going to trade for him without being able to see him. So maybe they lose enough to be up there for the first round pick, and then let Kyler put enough on film to use it to be able to trade.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. You got to get this guy some reps because otherwise it's going to be tough with his contract. Gonna be tough. Bears and Chargers are the nightcap this evening. The Bears are still rolling with the guy whose name and initials are Teabag. Tyler, I think it's Tyler, right? Tyler Badgett or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going Chargers here. The Bears still haven't figured it out. Don't know if Justin Fields is the guy, but
I don't know if the Chargers have figured it out. But yeah, I'm gonna roll with you. And then you said tomorrow we got the Raiders and
Detroit.
Raiders, Detroit. I got Detroit, but yeah. I think it could be a trap game. If Jimmy G plays, it could be a trap game for them. But I still got Detroit. Really quick before we move on, before we get out of here, we did not mention earlier today that Matthew Perry passed away. Friends got, he was a star in Friends. He had a substance abuse issue previously. Hopefully that's not found in his system, but they're saying, and there's a lot on the internet. Some are saying heart attack, some are saying hot tub, some are saying heart attack in a hot tub. But nonetheless, man, people just need to, when things like this happen, they got to give families and friends space, and stop, trying to be the first to report, and get that narrative out there, get that story out there. Same thing we saw with Kobe, right? And people were like, "Oh, Rick Fox was there," and then Rick Fox was like, "I wasn't there." Right. You know what I mean? Like, nonetheless, man, best wishes to his family and friends. I thought he was a pretty good actor. I never was a Friends guy, but I've seen him in other stuff, and I thought he did a pretty good job. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I've watched Friends. I don't want to make it sound like I've never watched it, but I wasn't the guy that rushed to the TV every day after school or whenever they would air it and be like, I gotta watch Friends. They're shows that I watch now when there's an episode on, ain't shit else on, and also because I like to look at Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah, I've actually never seen an episode of Friends. Not even, I don't even think I've seen clips of Friends.
Never once?
Yeah, I've never seen a single episode of it. Like there's some shows I've never watched, but I've seen like an episode or whatever. Like I've never seen The Office, but I've seen like mad clips. I've never seen anything from Friends. So I
Wow.
mean, I know who's in it. You know, Matthew Perry, Jennifer Aniston, those folks. But I've never seen it. I don't. I never got what the hype was. But
You're too woke.
I've seen Seinfeld, just never seen Friends. But yeah, definitely.
Man.
Rest in peace to him, man. Best thoughts and wishes to his friends and family.
Yeah, no doubt.
I've seen him in other stuff though, like a Whole 9 Yards with Bruce Willis, and things like that. But I've never seen Friends.
Yeah. Anything else? Anything else? I'll let you. I don't know if you wanted to, since since I was having audio issues and kept cutting you off. Um, but we talked about TJ. I talked about TJ's bowling earlier, and I don't remember. I don't know if I said the right thing. I think I said regional finals, but you can correct
Yeah, it
that.
was the district finals for
District final.
district championship. They finished in second place for their district. So first place and second place get to go to state. So he'll have state tournament this coming Tuesday to try to win a state championship. He hasn't won one of those. I think the best they did was I think they finished in 14th or 16th in his first year bowling. But and their team is not as good as it was then, so I don't think that happens. But we're hoping for the best. But he also qualifies as an individual for state as well. One thing I did want to mention, but we have an audio issue, so we just kind of move to the next thing once we got it figured out real quick. Was that the director of the district tournaments? Man, this guy was a piece of shit, dude. So, like, let
That
me set the scene for
escalated.
you. Let me set the scene for you real quick. So the way it works is that one of the schools in the districts is the host of the district championship, right? And so
Right.
they're the ones who run like the tickets, the people checking tickets when they come in. Their athletic director is the person who like presents the trophy and stuff like that. And so last year, TJ Schools was the host, right? So our athletic director had like a whole ceremony, and our school won. We won the boys and girls district championship. So we had like a whole ceremony, taking speeches, people got to take pictures, all the kind. It was like a whole thing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then second place gets a trophy as well, but he went and did their thing like separately and stuff like that. Whatever, right? This year, Colonial High was the host. Our school, we're in the championship round, right? We get beat by Circle Christian. And when it's time to present the trophy, Steve, this guy walks up and he's holding the trophy and he's like, "Hey, Circle Christian, is anybody gonna come get this thing? I'm trying to go home." And the coach didn't hear him, so the coach was standing next to me. So I lean over, I'm like, "Hey, coach," and he's like, "Hey, yeah, what's up?" And I was like, "This guy's talking to you," and he's like, "Is somebody gonna come get the trophy? I'm trying to get out of here." And they're like, "Oh yeah, yeah." So the kids come around, and the dude holds up the trophy, and he's like, "Ladies and gentlemen, your 2023 District 19 or whatever their district number is, champion Circle Christian," hands her the trophy, and then walks off. And
Wow.
I was like, that was so fucked up, yo. Like, and I'm telling TJ when he was asking me why, I was like, you have a lot of people, some of these kids aren't going to go bowl in college. They're not going to become professional bowlers.
Yep.
This may be this may be the biggest achievement they have sports wise in their life. You know what I mean? And this is the memory of it. Most of them weren't even around. The coach had to go like corral them, right? But the ones who were, it's like, "Hey, come get this thing. I'm trying to get the hell out of here, man. Like, what are we doing here?"
Right.
And it's like, yo, that's so fucked up, yo.
And so before I ask, was he?
He was one of us.
I knew it. Yep, I knew that was coming. Shocker. Oh boy. Well, yeah, he's a piece of shit. Do they? I mean, shit. If they know his name, they need to send some info out there.
Yeah. Like, yo, you shouldn't
Blast
let
him,
this
man.
dude be involved in anything kids related anymore. Like, come on, man. That was just ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm never the one that's like, oh, let's get participation trophies or anything like that. And I'm starting to get like that because some of this mental health stuff that people deal with could stem from the fact that they're called losers from the time that they're young kids and they're not good at sports or something like that.
Mhm.
So I'm starting to get on that side of things, but nonetheless, these were the winners, right? And it's an accomplishment. And when someone accomplishes something, especially kids, like, high school or not, they're kids. They deserve to be celebrated accordingly, and made to feel like they actually accomplished something, or they achieved something. So whoever he is, I'll send a big old fuck you to you. And hope you get a tongue or toenail fungus or something.
Yeah, it was nasty, man. It was in that school, this is the first time they've won. So it's like this is the
Oh
first.
yeah.
So like it's like, man, we're representing our school. It's our first time winning this thing, and like we get nothing, like nothing. You know what I mean? It was just like, yeah, yeah, okay, cool. Yo, what are we doing? Is somebody gonna get this? I gotta get out of here, yo. I
Right.
was like, yo, dude, it was just so foul, man. It was so foul. I did not
Yeah.
like that at all. I mean, I was already mad that we lost, and then it's like you do these kids like this, man.
Scumbag.
Yeah. And then the other thing I was gonna say real quick, and then I'll get us out of here. On the political front, the House Republicans elected a speaker. They elected this guy named Mike Johnson, who's a congressman from
Ooh.
Louisiana. He's a super right wing Trump kind of guy. He's one of the low key ones though, so that's why I think people, or not people, but like they seem to be more tolerable of him. He is an election denier. He actually helped lead the one of the challenges to Joe Biden's election, where the state of Texas tried to sue to invalidate Pennsylvania and I believe it was Arizona's election results. And then he led the House Republicans in writing an amicus brief, or what's called a friend of the court brief, to get the courts to overturn that. It was denied, but was all for turning over the election. He's super anti-abortion. He said things like, "Oh, Social Security, we're doing better. We'd have abortion. We'd have more people working. We should force women to have babies so we have more workers." So he's
Oh.
your typical right wing, super ultra conservative Republican. So he's the
Is
new.
he temporary?
No, he's the permanent speaker. He's the elected speaker.
Oh.
So he's the guy
Okay.
in charge, two heartbeats away from the presidency. So and then the other thing I was gonna say real quick is that some guy in Delaware right now is probably hoping he doesn't get shipped to Guantanamo. He was flying his private plane, like one of his private crop duster kind of propeller planes, and
Mhm.
violated the airspace that they have around Joe Biden's Delaware home. And Joe Biden was actually home, so they scrambled up F-16s and forced him down the land.
Oh, they about
It
to
probably
get
was an
his
accident.
ass.
Yeah, it probably was an accident, because especially like if you fly your plane for fun, maybe he didn't know Biden was home that weekend. But because like they set up one of those like restricted airspaces wherever the president, like one is permanently over the White House, and then wherever the president is, they make one temporary. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's just maybe he didn't know he was home for the weekend or whatever and was flying, but I'm pretty sure he kind of probably puckered up for a little bit, like, oh shit. so, but no, nothing. They I say forced him to land. They basically scrambled jets and then told him to land. He landed at the airport nearby. No incident happened. I don't think he
That
was
was in
arrested or
Delaware.
anything like. Yeah, up in Delaware, in Wilmington. I don't think he was arrested, but he probably is hoping that is. I think when that happens, even if it was an accident, they still get fined by the FAA.
Yeah.
I'm thinking he's probably hoping it's only a fine.
He gonna end up meeting the president. He gonna guilt them into thinking, oh, what was me? It was just a simple accident. And then Joe's gonna be like, oh, well, let me go shake this guy's hand so he doesn't feel too bad about it. And he gonna end up being the fucking president off of that bullshit.
You
Watch.
never know. You
That's how
never
shit
know.
happens in America.
Yeah. That was all I had on the political front this week, at least.
All right. Well, I don't have much more. Kickoff has begun, so I need to get to my Cowboys.
Same with me. Same with me.
That's a big one. Pause. So without further ado, I'll hand it off to you and let you get us about here.
All right. Hey, folks, like we always say, man, reach out to your people, make that phone call, send that text message, let people know you're thinking about them. mental health is a very serious thing. You never know what's going on in somebody's head. So, reach out to your folks, let them know that you're thinking about them, that you care about them. And if if you see something, don't be afraid to ask a question, to make a phone call, whatever. You never know if somebody needs help, so don't be afraid to get them help. With that said, man, we definitely appreciate you guys rocking with us, for taking time out your day to listen to the podcast. For the folks who listen live, for anybody who will listen once the episode posts, we appreciate you taking that time as well. You can find the podcast on all podcasting platforms by searching Castworthy. You can also find us on any social media by searching @Castworthy. On Instagram, it's @Castworthy_podcast. While you're there, you can like, subscribe, share, follow, tell a friend to tell a friend, help us grow the audience. We very much appreciate it. Last thing I'll say is go Dolphins, go Cowboys for Steve. And we will see you guys on the next week's episode of the Castworthy podcast. Fuck the Jets. We're out. We love you. Peace.